Good afternoon YouTube and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about everything that's planned for 2021, the bike reviews, the car reviews, the project builds. So stay tuned and get comfy. So my name's James Stone. If you're new to the channel, it's pretty clear, hopefully, to see that I'm a pretty big petrol head. And I've got the bikes, we've got the cars, we've got the road trips, we've got the project builds. But what I want to discuss today's video is everything that's going to be happening for this year, everything that we've got in the pipeline. Fingers crossed, everything returns to normal later in 2021 and actually allows us to get on with the plans that we sort of put together for last year. So the most popular build on the channel is by far the BMW E46. Like the gathering of subscribers I've had and those of you asking for it. So we'll start with that one first. I mean, if you haven't seen it already, I'll try and put a link up here somewhere for the E46 4-year review. And that'll give you sort of a big idea essentially of what the build is, what the plans are and what I'm doing with the car so far. But like I say, in the video today, we'll be talking about what the plans are for this year. So the big one, I have purchased the Öhlins coilovers. I mean, I've been dilly-dallying with that for all of last year and probably a bit of the year before. I just, which ones to get? And I've decided that the car is majority road used. It's gonna do a little bit of track time, but ultimately it needs to be compliant on our British roads, which unfortunately are not great. They're not terrible, but they're not great. And like I say, I'm going to go with something that's usable on the road, can be adjustable for the track, and like I say, more will be coming on that video. I would have thought now, probably about 2 or 3 weeks time. It's 6-week lead time for Öhlins, so bought them in the middle of December. Hopefully they'll be here towards the end of January, and we'll be doing a full video on fitting those. So also in that video with the coilovers, we will be discussing obviously setup for suspension. Now I'm sure a lot of you will be saying, spent all that money on the bushes, spent all that money on the coilovers. Surely I've got to go and get the car properly set up and corner weighted. Now, it is something I'm considering doing, but the problem I've got, and I think I've mentioned it in other videos, is the car does vary its weight load because it will have me driving it on my own. It will then have my missus in it. I've had friends in it when we go for spirited rides. So I'm just a bit worried that if I get it all corner weighted, someone sits in the passenger seat, it's going to be 70, 80 kilos of weight that's not in the correct place. But we'll discuss that in the coilover video, which like I say will be coming in the coming weeks. Another thing I did want to try and work on, and this will make sense in the next part of the video, is brake cooling. Now it's not something I really suffered with when we went to the Nürburgring or even up in the Alps with the E46, but it's certainly something that I want to make sure doesn't ruin the day, because I've had it happen in the Clio 172 and yeah, it's not fun. Brake fade at all is just horrible. But like I say, we'll discuss that sort of after the coilover video, because that's going to be the next project. So the one I have been waiting a long time for, and like I say, for those that have watched the Geo video where we did all the bushes, I have finally booked Anglesey track day. So providing COVID unfortunately wouldn't stop anything, we will be going on Monday the 29th of March. So if any of you subscribers are going on the same day, feel free, pop over, have a look at the car, and fingers crossed COVID means that we can actually get on track and enjoy using the cars this year. And like I say, it's going to be the first UK track day for me in a long time. I'm excited. It's what I've built the E46 for. It is sort of a fast road entry-level track car with the coilovers. It should be good fun to see what it's like. And obviously because it is near sort of North Wales we can have a bit of a road trip up there as well and hopefully get some new shots with the car all set up on the coilovers. So obviously I do have some concerns going to Anglesey again, providing we're allowed to go with the lockdown. And I'm going to say, because one, I've got super sport tyres on there now that have done a couple of heat cycles. They're not the best in the wet. Those that live in the UK will know Anglesey is a notoriously wet track, being in Wales. Like I say, unless you go in the summertime when you can guarantee the weather, but March time, it's probably going to be an interesting combination. Now, another video that I did previously with the wheel refurb is I did say I was going to put the Cup 2s on there. After reading more and more reviews, they really are sort of track tyre more than a road tyre. They're road legal, but I think with the Euro trips I do, being caught out in the rain, I'm going to go with the Michelin 4S. Now the problem I've got is the current tyres still have a good amount of life on them, so I don't really want to put new tyres on for the track day, heat cycle those, and then obviously look at replacing them again shortly afterwards. Whereas if I can finish the super sports off on track, and fingers crossed there's some dry grip there, it should be good fun. Something that I have been thinking about the past couple of weeks, and other people have mentioned it to me, is once upon a time I wouldn't have thought twice about taking the M3 on track. The problem I've now got is it's getting expensive. It's a high value car, at least to me anyway, and I'd hate to have a whoopsie on track and yeah, not be insured correctly and stuff unless I buy track insurance. If you guys in the comments have got any good track insurance advice, especially for modified cars, certainly be keen to see it. But yeah, I think it will be going for the sights, take it easy. We're not going to set any lap times. Car's going to be on new suspension, so it's going to be the first proper rundown. Maybe try and get the car out to the Cotswolds first, just to get a feel for how it drives on the new suspension. I mean, if the Olin stuff is anything like the bikes, it's going to be pretty impressive. The only final things for the E46 this year, other than the track day and new coilover fitting, is potentially try and save some weight out of the old girl. Now, I have seen videos of people removing the sound deadening and then putting the carpets back in place. It's something that, like I say, could save a few kilos, but will it start making it antisocial for the road trips? That's something I'm going to have to weigh up. But as it's not a daily driver, fingers crossed it won't be too intense, and like I say, could save potentially 15, maybe 20 kilos of weight removing the sound deadening under the carpets. As I've always said, the E92 M3 is the daily, so I'm willing to make a bit of a compromise. I don't want a cage and stripped out and all that, because it's never going to be that car, but if I can do sort of like an OEM Plus with the sound deadening, that would be cool. The final thing with the weight saving is the battery. Now, I've seen these, I think they call them dead weight industry batteries now, lithium things popping up all over the place. Look pretty impressive weight wise. You can get sort of 10-15 kilo weight saving, which is pretty impressive considering it still has the cranking and storage ampage of a normal lead battery. So that's something else I'd like to look into this year. But again, I keep saying it, I don't want to get too carried away. I've got other projects. Once the coilovers are on and it's set up, it should just be a brilliant little road car to be blasting around in, and hopefully actually get some miles on it compared to last year. So those that have watched the video, again, I'll try and figure out how to put a link up here somewhere. The E92 was stolen back in November, thankfully recovered with minimal damage, but the rear bumper unfortunately clipped the wall and it has done a little bit of damage to that. So I bought a touch-up kit for the time being, as I've got no interest in stripping it down now. I'm going to wait till the E46 is on the road, then I can use the E46 in sort of April time, get the bumper off the E92 and get it repainted. Like I said, it's just a shame because it's just chipped it all across the back. Not terrible, you don't really notice it once it's clean, but it's certainly something I want to get sorted out so it's back to normal. But that will certainly be something in April time, get that off and get that repainted first before doing anything else to the car. So as I've mentioned in the previous videos, I never plan to go wild with the E92 M3. It's certainly one of those cars that was meant to be a daily driver, maybe a few little tweaks here and there, but the more I drive it, the more I want to change bits, the more I'm falling in love with it. So another big thing that I want to get done, which I mentioned in the part 2 tuning video, is the carbon plenum. It just all the videos I've watched on it, and I haven't heard one in the flesh yet, but it's meant to be a V8 CSL. So that is incredibly appealing. My friends have done supercharged ones, and whilst I fancy the idea of doing it in some points, I also think to myself, I don't utilise the power I've got now. It's plenty fast enough for road use. I'm not tracking it, I'm not saving, you know, looking to do really quick lap times in it. For road use, it's just such a fun car to drive that I think the plenum is probably going to be the next big move for the engine on the E92, and hopefully something this year. I don't know, it's some serious outlay considering there's minimal gains, but if it's anything like the E46 with 6 cylinders, it's going to sound very good on the V8. The final things I'd like to do to the E92 M3 are potentially upgrade the brakes. Again, the performance friction pads that I've got in on the standard calipers and standard discs so far with the braided lines are actually really good. I've never got to the point where I thought I need more braking power, but I'm not a big fan of single piston calipers. The feedback is okay on there. I mean, it's not terrible, it's not great. And you look at the aftermarket kits, there's plenty out there, but as I mentioned in the E46 video with the K-Sports I've got on that, there's not many kits with dust seals. Now, dust seals essentially mean that you can use it all year round, you're not constantly rebuilding the brakes. And I do really like the look of the M3, M4 calipers, the 4 pots on the front, 2 pots on the rear light. Looks pretty impressive, and that's sort of the thing that could make a big difference and still allow me to keep dust seals to use it all year round. I like the idea of having the calipers matched, so I could do the white calipers with the white bodywork behind the black wheels. I think that could look really nice. The problem with doing the conversion is, from what I've seen, you need to use the M4 hubs, and what that does is it increases the ride height 10 mil. Now, not horrific, especially with the springs, but every now and then I look at the car and I think the front sits maybe a smidge too high now and the back a little bit too low. I'd like to bring the back up sort of 10 mil, give it that sort of raked look. So I'm contemplating with going coilovers. I'm sure most will say, well, road use car, you might as well get the KW Has kit. My friend Lee's got it, really rates it, but the problem is, because I'm going to be going so low, and not because I'm just slamming the car, but because of that M4 hub raising 10 mil, I'm going to lose a lot of damper travel. So I'm thinking potentially something like a Bilstein coilover. I've used them on the Clio, really impressed. Nice road kit, potentially still keep the electronic damping control, get that ride height just how I want it, good suspension, good braking, carbon plenum. What more does it need? Like, it drives so well. Yes, I'd love to shave 200 kilos out of it, but it's just not going to happen without compromising that daily luxury that I have with the car. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up the E92 M3 for 2021. I think probably a bit ambitious with the plenum, but we'll see. Fingers crossed, like I say, we have a good year and we can get that fitted. Clio 172 Cup, well, finally got it mapped to engine dynamics. Andy and the team did a fantastic job. Car is driving lovely, and now it's called a 172 Cup for those that don't know, because it's supposed to be 172 PS, which is late 160 horsepower. Probably should call it the Clio Cup 195 now, 0.2 horsepower off of 195 horsepower. It drives really, really well, and I'm so happy with the car now. It's very near to how I planned for it to be. But as always with projects, you see things, you want to do more. And I think the first one for me is probably going to be getting it on a track day. I've said that in the last video, try and get it over to the Renault Sport 1 in the summer again, if COVID allows, and actually try and use the car, which will be really cool. It's not the most comfortable driver to get there, but race car life, so I'll probably try and get up there in the summer, again without air conditioning, and do a track day on those AD08Rs. Something that I do want to do to the Cup, I'm not fussed to do it now, and it's not something I'm going to do permanently and sell the standard wheels, but I have got a real itch to put it on white 2118s with white side bullets with the blue text. I think that could look really clean on the car, and I'm not really sure what wheels and tyre combo I'd go for. So the 2118s, obviously the wheel, but there's no point me putting winter tyres on it because I don't winter drive it. There's no point putting track tyres on it because I've already got those on a 16, so it'll literally just be for when it's parked up and going out. So I'm still toying with that. Again, it always changes with these projects. I do want to put a limited slip diff in it, as those that watch the rain video, the one tyre fire in that car now is just, it's almost frustrating at points. It's good fun when you're just out for a little jolly, but if you're trying to make progress, it really needs to get that limited slip diff to try and put that power down as best as possible. Again, as we mentioned in the engine dynamics video when we took the car to be mapped, potentially go 182 exhaust manifold and 197 injectors. Finally, maybe a fiberglass bonnet, try and get some weight out of the car further. I mean, it's not like it feels heavy, it's got to be knocking on 900 kilos. That's something I should add to the list this year. Let's try and get it weighed and actually see what that little cut comes on the scales as now, because I can't see it being more than 900 kilos without a full roll cage, but it's certainly good fun. Plenty of power for the weight anyway. The Honda S2000, well, that car shouldn't have been in the collection really. Like, I haven't got the space for it. I haven't really got the time to be putting into it either, but after driving Matt's again, I was like, this is good fun. I do want one of these, and then the stars aligned, and now she sits on the driveway. So that's going to be the next video for the S2000. Probably going to be up, I would have thought, hopefully next week. Going to get it in the air, jack it up, have a look in those arches. Going to be lots of rust. I can tell already just when I was walking around it. There's rust everywhere. But old Japanese car, not really designed for our salted, gritted roads, unfortunately. So to be expected when it's done 150,000 miles. But we'll get it up in the air, have a good look around. And so the last video I did on the car was the airbox video. I'm confident that won't lose power. I'm also confident it will sound great, but every time I open the bonnet, I just look at it and I think, it's not a proper job. It's a bit of a mess, really. Like, and I don't regret it. Like, it was a bit of fun for an afternoon to have a play with it, and I may trial it on the road, but every time I open the bonnet, I keep thinking back to the Teguari kit that Matt had on his, and I think I'm probably going to buy one of those just to clean it up. It's going to be lighter than the standard airbox, make a nice noise, and it gets to the front of the bumper, obviously, for that cold air feed without any of the sort of shield stuff that I've had to build or chop the airbox. So yeah, I think that might be going on the car as well this year. The hard top has sold, has left me. Like I said, it was a good chunk of money back to pay for the build. The soft top is leaking badly, so I've got to go and pick a car cover up this week to try and keep it dry. Not that I'm keeping any of the seats or anything in the car, but I could do without it going all rotten in there. And like I say, I'm still going to keep the dash, still keep the electric, so I really could do without anything breaking in there for the next couple of months. So I'll put it on a cover just to keep the weather off of it for the next couple of months until we sort of decide. And we're going to build a garage. Going to need to build a garage because we've got too much stuff going on, and people are always walking past when you've got tools out and stuff, especially after the theft of the car. It's not something I really want to continue doing. So moving on to the motorbikes, the two-wheeled stuff. First up, the KTM RC8R. I mean, I literally have fallen for that bike in a big way. Like, I'd always been curious about it. I'd heard such mixed reviews on it, but I really do enjoy riding it, and especially as I'm someone who normally likes stuff that's really rev hungry, which that's not, especially compared to a lot of the other bikes I've got, but it is such an animal to ride on the road. So still want to try and get over to the Nürburgring. All my biker friends don't seem to be interested in it, so I'm like, if anyone's up for doing a ring trip or doing a ring trip on the bikes, riding over from sort of London way over there, drop me a comment, because it'd be cool to see if I could tag along. Obviously we'll be filming it all as well on the GoPros. Still need to go and see Steve Jordan Motorsport to get mapping done. Obviously we did the Lambda delete. Potentially get the Rottweiler intake kit still, try and get some induction noise out of it. Not that it needs to be any louder at all, it shakes the windows constantly when I start it up outside the house, but that'll only be on the full throttle stuff. So yeah, still some cool stuff planned with the RC8. I did get a new seat for it as well, so it hasn't got the tears as per the intro video, so it's looking pretty fresh now. Just like I say, needs a few more little tweaks doing, and a good ride over to the Nürburgring, because it's something I really want to tick off the list. I know a lot of people have said it's pretty risky, it's pretty scary, I don't doubt that, but I've never done it on a bike. I certainly want to give it a go. Aprilia RS250, got something in the pipeline for that, but that'll be explained a little bit later on. Paint the seat hump. Every time I look at it, that pillion cover seat that I bought for it in the carbon fibre just doesn't suit the bike, and I'm really struggling to find the right shade of silver to get that coloured. So that's something I want to get done. Probably a bit of a deep clean, but long term for that bike, I'd like to build a Mark II Harada rep out of it, but I'm not fussed for that right now. They're going crazy for the values, so it makes sense to keep it all original at the moment until I decide how I'm going to play that out. But yeah, a few little bits planned for the RS250. Don't think there's going to be any rides this year on it, as I think I said at the end of the intro video to it. I enjoy it, but not anymore like on the road. I just would rather go out on a just bigger, lazier bike that's got the power, rather than screaming every gear just to do 70 mile an hour. The Ducati 748 SP, well, that has been a long burning project, and I'm sure many of you can appreciate that. You start these things, other things come up, it just never gets finished. So I still need to finish working on that, but I think this year I just want to do a big service on it, do the belts, coolant, oil, and just actually go and ride the thing, because I know once it's stripped down to the frame, that's going to be a long time before I get back out on that. And I was just sitting the other day thinking how much fun that would be just to go for an absolute hoon around the Cotswolds on. So probably do you guys a video, obviously on trying to bring it out of hibernation, and fingers crossed nothing is going to cause issues, because it is a Ducati. It is sort of sat in a garage doing nothing now for about 2 years, so I'm sure there will be some surprises, but fingers crossed, like we say, I can get out and potentially do another review on it. Would you guys reckon? Do like a sort of couple of year recap on it, what the ownership's been like. Obviously done very minimal mileage the last 2 years, but just an insight. So if there's any interest for that, I don't mind taking it out again for another review. Maybe try and do a round town ride, because as I mentioned in the review, it's incredibly comfortable and good fun when you're flying around on a back road, but get it in traffic and the risks are just killing. So what have we got planned in terms of reviews for other people's vehicles? Well, a lot of you guys have been really kind offering stuff up. Definitely got to follow that up this year and try and meet some of you lot and take out some of the bonkers builds I've seen. The big one, Aaron, my good friend, has bought a BMW 1M. Those that follow me on Instagram will see that it's a beauty. So he's going to let me take that out to review as well. Excited to actually do a proper review on a near standard one. He's also bought a Honda RC30. So for those of you into your classic bikes, we'll be reviewing that this year. I'm sure it's going to be a popular one if it's anything like the Gamma, because you just don't see them anymore. So he's kindly said, yep, take the keys. When the weather returns, we'll go out and do a video on that bad boy. So very excited to finally ride an RC30. He had one previously. It just didn't happen. We just didn't get a date in the diary. I didn't think he'd sell it quickly, and it sold very fast. Them things are just rocketing in value at the moment. So yeah, it'd be cool to finally put that to bed and get out on one of those and see what all the hype is about. My friend Sanj has got some bikes as well. Those that follow him on Instagram, Mr. Wiki, him and his dad have got some cool bikes, and he's got a friend that's got some cool classic stuff. So again, we're going to really focus on doing the classic bikes, because I can see now looking on YouTube that so many new bikes are available. If you want an S1000RR review, if you want a new R1, if you want a new Ducati Panigale, V4, you name it. So many videos, but the classic stuff, the stuff that most people my age and older want to see, are just all tucked up. So I'm going to try and get my hands on some pretty cool stuff this year and see if we can actually review some of the golden age stuff, the stuff from sort of 90s, early 2000s. Final one, which I don't even think it'd be a car YouTube video now if I didn't mention it, is I'm itching to drive a Yaris GR. Like, I think it's going to be, my gut tells me, a bit like the Fiesta ST, very capable, very point and shoot, maybe lacking in a little bit of character like new cars, but they really have knocked that one out of the park. So I want to have one of those at least on the channel by the summer, if I can find a dealer. If anyone close to London knows a dealer that's happy to lend us one for a few hours, that would be brilliant. So really excited to try one of those.
Go on then, do some flying.
Next, moving on to the equipment. Well, again, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I purchased a DJI Mini 2 drone, and really impressed with the quality. Like, the 4K camera that's built into it is just absolutely crazy. To think it all folds down to the size of basically an iPhone is just technology now. It just moves so fast and so relatively easy to fly for the limited experience. So as you probably saw in the intro to the 197 video, the 200 video we did of Matt's even, we did take that out, and it was a grey, horrible, cold day, and the quality of the footage, I say I cannot wait to get that out in the sunshine where that camera can really be explored. Final bit of equipment update will probably be the GoPro Hero 9. Like, I try to keep up to date with the cameras. I'm still learning a lot with editing and stuff, which is definitely my downfall, but I think the Hero 9 that I've been looking at the reviews, again, just like all the GoPro stuff, they genuinely do seem to just get better and better. So fingers crossed that will be added to the equipment list shortly. Another thing that you can probably see, a new location that I'm shooting from, is the little office in the house. I've literally got a video coming on that as well because I've been blogging it all, but it's all been stripped down, painted. You can probably see some little, maybe some white and red dots on the wall where I'm going to start drilling holes and mounting stuff, but it's going to be the little man cave. I need to still work on the lighting. I've got a new ring light here and I was like struggling to look at it a little bit. It's a bit blinding. That's something new to me, but really want to try and up the quality for you guys, really get some good videos out. And like I say, if you've got any input, any suggestions, anything you want to see that I can realistically achieve, please feel free to bang it in the comments, because ultimately there's no point in me producing stuff if no one wants to see it. I'm really pleased with how the channel's grown. 6,000 subscribers, 2 million views overall, and like I say, for something that's just a bit of a hobby, me having fun, really pleased to see that you guys on the whole are enjoying it. I'm sure like most as well, I'm gonna need to start hitting the gym. I've been wearing the hoodies a lot to try and hide the weight, but I'm a little bit worried about how the bike levers are gonna fit on. I think it might be a bit of a Teletubby experience the first time I get back on a bike in March. So again, let's hope that COVID starts to reduce, can get back into the gym and actually fit in the bike gears. Beer has been my friend through lockdown. It's a tier 4 tragedy really, but fingers crossed, weather will improve, bikes come back out, training can get back in order, and like I say, everything will start fitting again so I can get on the bikes. As we said last year, really wanted to do a review of the E92 in the Alps, sort of a comparison to the E46. I've still got to do the M240i versus E92 M3, but like I say, with this weather at the moment, 240i and its open diff and super sports doesn't really make for a good watch. So that's something that's definitely got to be sort of put together this year. I'd also really like to try and get out on one of the new R1 or the R1M even. I mean, that bike is something I've had a big following from when they first came out, the new shape when I saw it in 2014, and I still haven't ridden one. So I'd love to try and get my hands on one of those as well, but don't seem to be many Yamaha dealers offering them up for an afternoon of trialing them out. But like I say, if anyone knows of any around the area, let us know in the comments. The final thing, I guess only really to the clothing, is I have seen the new Nolan lid, the Ultra Carbon RS. I think it's called the Ring or Track Ring or something like that. Like, was looking at them today. I think I'm going to have one of those because my old Nolan lid is fantastic. And if it wasn't for the age, I would change it. But it's coming up to like 6.5 years now. So good practice is every 5 years, change the helmet. Never dropped it, never had an accident in it. But you just don't want that shell to go off. So I think looking at that, it's got a big glass spoiler on the back of it. We'll try and get one of those ordered in as well for when the biking season returns. So I hope everyone enjoyed the catch-up video. Say plenty more to come. Hopefully the quality of the video is not too bad with the new lighting and the ring light. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks with the Olins, and obviously next week with the Honda S2000 video. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time.